Courtney's Crystals. I am a spiritual medium. Sorry, scratch that. I am a crystal medium and spiritual mentor, which means I talk to the spirits of crystals to help my clients uncover their spiritual gifts. And it's amazing. So today I'm here to talk to you and help you select your crystals in your collection. So these first few videos are definitely geared toward the beginner with crystals, but this can be for anybody because we're going to talk about using your intuition, learning how to sense energy, and all that good stuff. So if that's of interest, feel free to stick around. Okay, so I'm going to dig right in. There's a few, I'm going to also shift my camera, which might get clunky. So we'll see how that goes. Luckily, I'm married to a video producer, so he may help with my magic of editing later. So the first thing one of the ways that can be easiest if you're looking for assistance when you go into a crystal shop is to have an intention in mind. And then they can help you find a crystal that's really great for you, depending on how helpful the folks are and how busy they are. When I was doing crystal healing, I worked in a metaphysical store, and sometimes it was really busy when it was one of the biggest ones in LA. And actually, I think it was the biggest one in LA and one of the largest ones when you consider their e-commerce in the world. So it was very, very busy, especially on weekends, and trying to get one-on-one help and attention wasn't always feasible. Also, depending on where you shop, sometimes the people are also not super knowledgeable on the stone, so you might not get the help that you're looking for. So that's why I'm here to help you out. So if you have an intention in mind, intentions tend to be centered around one of a handful of things: love, money, family, usually relationships with family, protecting your family. Another is protection in general. What else? Protection, wording. Yeah, so those are kind of the big ones, I think. I'm sure there's a bunch of others. There's physical health, and then there's emotional health. And so you can go in there and let somebody know exactly what you're working with. If you have especially when it comes to your health, if there's something specific, it might be helpful to look online and then jot down the names of a few crystals. I think especially if you're going into a shop, unless you know the owners and the employees there really well, which you probably don't if you're a beginner. It's good to have some in mind, and also a few different crystal options to choose from because, as I mentioned in another video, crystals are not always readily available, especially some of the less common ones. So even if you think it's a common stone, it might not be in stock because mining for crystals goes in cycles. And so some things are not available year round. And sometimes they're not even available every single year. So especially if you're looking for a very specific health issue, find the crystal online. One thing I'll say is I think that I believe both in Eastern and Western traditions when it comes to medicine. So even though I am a crystal healer, I focus more on emotional, spiritual, and etheric well-being. And also there are some crystals that I found helped with reduction of stress and pain, which can help with some other physical expressions of illnesses that you have. I do not recommend using only crystal therapy as your medicinal treatment for anything that you have. I think it's a very nice complement and can amplify the work that you're doing, but always listen to your doctor. This is not a replacement. So I had to, that's my 2 cents and the way I feel about that. I think it's a nice addition to, certainly not a replacement. So if you're shopping by intention, do a little bit of research before going into a metaphysical store because you just never know who you're working with. I've been into some where the owners don't even know. They just think the crystals are cool. So they really don't even know a lot about crystals. They certainly can't tell you about the geology. They don't ask questions about where it's sourced from. And then, they hire some people who maybe play with crystals. Like one of the women I'm thinking of, this is a different store, when I lived in LA, she was a Reiki practitioner. So when somebody asked her, she's like, oh, what can I use for protection against an ex-boyfriend? She didn't know what. I watched her get frustrated because she didn't know how to help her client. She's like, oh, well, you can read all the cards. It was, they sold a few other things in addition to crystals, but it was almost exclusively crystals. So it's all crystals. And it's like, oh yeah, just read the like 300 descriptions that we have here. Overwhelming. I can't keep my mouth shut. So I did help that lady, black tourmaline, one of the crystals that I recommend for protection. It's a good go-to. So I'll give you some tips as well to shop by. Like you can do it by intention. And then another easy thing to do is to kind of get familiar with the chakras and what they represent. And the reason that I do this is because when you're working with crystals, a lot of the meanings of crystals are on a broad level, not on a specific level, on a high level, organized by color. And the color is nicely aligned with the chakra system. So if you know that and are familiar with it, it's going to help you steer you in the right direction. Especially because I find that crystal shops are either sometimes just not organized at all in terms of their crystals, especially if you're going into a more of a, what I would call like a natural store where they have crystals for their more like science, geological collectors, people who are really into the geology and the unique structure of a stone. That can be a hard place to find stones for metaphysical purposes. So knowing about crystals can mean different things to different shop owners as well. So what I would say is, let me see, I hope I have every color here in my basket. So we'll start with red. So red and other dark stones, brown and black, which I don't have here, which is fine. So red, brown, and black tend to be associated with the root chakra. And the root chakra is associated with things like safety, grounding, and grounding means like if you're feeling anxious, if you feel like you're not connected to your body, like when you're having anxiety, a lot of times you're hearing your brain, or you almost kind of feel yourself like lifting up and disassociating it a little bit. These types of stones can help you feel really grounded. They're really nice in a mindfulness practice. I actually like putting these under my feet. So some of these stones, this is red jasper, for example, petrified wood, smoky quartz, black tourmaline, things like that. So grounding. A lot of them also have repel negative energy, which is wonderful, very protective stones. So among other things. So this is just a very brief overview to help you in general find the stones that you're looking for. The next color is associated with the sacral chakra. And oh my gosh, I'm gonna be so embarrassed to hear this. I was like, did I take all the carnelian? I work with carnelian a lot. So I wasn't sure. I've got this cutie pie basket of stones, which we'll get to in a minute. I wasn't sure if I had it handy or not. So the next color in the traditional chakra system. Oh, and I should also mention, since I'm talking about the chakras, so the root chakra is located at the base of your spine. So, yep, that's exactly where it's located. If it sounds awkward, it is awkward. And what I'll do here too is link to a couple resources. I have a handout called Chakra Crystal Healing, I believe is the name of the handout. And then I'll also send you, not send you, in the description, I'm also going to include the link to my chakra overview that I have on my blog. So you can read that if you want more information. You certainly don't have to. I'll try to be comprehensive and concise. Probably not. So anyway, now we're at the sacral chakra. And the sacral chakra is located about 2 inches below your belly button. And this is in harmony and associated with your reproductive system. So if you're trying to, there's been a lot of work done on like divine masculine and divine feminine energy, especially in the circles that I work with. I work with a lot of women. So we talk a lot about divine feminine energy. So if you've had any, I would call it more feminine wounds and things like that, things that need to be addressed. This is all about your sacral chakra. So it's sexuality, it is desire, it is passion. If you've very fiery energy, and the color that's associated with it is orange. So if you are looking to ramp up your sex life, your creativity, even your desire to do things, like if you're having some issues with depression, again, see a medical professional with any mental or physical illnesses. But what can also help is supplementing some crystals in with that routine to help you increase your motivation. A lot of people with autoimmune diseases, this might be helpful for you if you're just really feeling lethargic, not yourself, especially carnelian specifically, and other orange stones can really help with increasing your internal energy. Some people call this the caffeine of crystals. So that's what orange is good for. And then the next color here, oh, sorry, I thought I had it. Here we go, is yellow. So here I have some honey calcite, citrine, and why am I blanking on other yellow stones? Pyrite, all good yellow stones, about the solar plexus chakra. So your solar plexus chakra is about 4 inches above your belly button and is related to your GI or gastrointestinal digestive system, all that good stuff. And so it is good for, especially honey calcite, this specifically is good for blessings. It's good for abundance. It's good for happiness. It's good for confidence. It's good for overconfidence. I'm sure you guys don't have that issue though. I work with a lot of empaths and people that are energy sensitive, so it's usually the opposite. But it helps balance and regulate all of those things. So if you're looking to reclaim your power, if you're feeling like life hasn't kind of gone in the direction that you want, these are yellow stones. Yellow golden stones are really good for that. Yellow golden stones are also really good for abundance. I prefer, and this is just my preference, and there's going to be a lot of people who disagree with this, but gold and silver are kind of the original currencies, if you will. I mean, there's been so many other things used for it, gemstones, whatever, and different metals and things like that used as currency. But to me, gold is the one that seems to be very ubiquitous. So to me, a lot of the golden stones also represent money manifestation and abundance and prosperity. Some people use green stones for that, especially jade. That's a very common and powerful money stone, but I tend to use green for more physical healing, and I'll go into why that is for a minute. But a lot of people associate money with the currency that we use today, especially if you're an American. Green means money to you, and that's totally okay. And if those are the stones that work for you, that's great too. I am kind of glad that I went down that tangent for a little bit too, because you also might find that in a metaphysical store, while I'm saying, oh, look for golden, yellow stones, again, I think gold, yellow, and orange tend to be harder to find. Calcites come in orange and yellow. Sunstone's another good orange stone, but they're not the most common. So it can be harder to find good natural stones that come in those colors. I was trying to find a couple of different green stones. Let's see. I'll just stick with these two. Oh, no, here we go. Here's my green aventurine. Okay, so as I mentioned, so now we're going to go into the heart chakra. And this one is probably the most commonly known because the heart, it's associated with the heart. So heart, circulatory system physically, it's at your heart center. So it can be, if you want to be anatomically correct, I believe this is your right, this is my left. You can place and work with the actual heart. I usually use more like chest center or kind of above or below, especially if I'm doing crystal healing on people. I'm like some of the chakras are just really awkward to get to. So I'm like, just so you know, I might get a little fresh with you, but like, here's where they're at in your physical body. When you're doing your own work, it's not that big of a deal. So for greenstone, so I grabbed some jade. So this is a tumbled piece of jade. Again, this tends to be a money stone. Because it's a pretty ubiquitous money stone, I also will use jade for money and manifestation. But in general, and even as I say this, like I think of other stones that I use a lot for money manifestation, but it's because I work with a lot of stones and then I talk to them, I talk to the stones and ask what they want to be used for. But in general, what I do, especially in my healing practice, is I use green stones more for actual healing work and to supplement that. And what I find it really powerful for is pain relief. And I don't think I've got a piece handy. I have it back here, but you can't see the detail of the stone. This is malachite. That is my favorite stone to use if somebody's like having soreness and pain. So I like to put it directly on wherever they're having an ailment. Otherwise, you can put it on your heart and let that healing radiate to other parts of your body. Green stones are, because they're affiliated with chakra, your heart chakra, a lot of times they can be used for other emotional work and for, of course, love. The pink stones, however, I find, so like rose quartz, like this, rhodochrosite, which is one of my personal favorites. It's in my top 5. This is a beautiful piece. Rhodochrosite, rhodonite, things like that are really good love stones. So rose quartz is the universal love stone. So pink never shows up. I wonder if this helps a little bit. I'll use this one because it's a brighter pink. Yeah, you can see that so much better than the rose quartz. Rose quartz is really good for both self-love and nurturing loving relationships with others. And so it doesn't even have to be just romantic love. It is good for helping you with a partner that you currently have, a partner that you want to have, can help you attract that. It's really, really healing in the heart center. So if you've had some emotional issues and things happen to you that makes it hard for you to have healthy, nurturing relationships, pink stones, and specifically rose quartz is really good for that. Rhodonite, sorry, this is rhodochrosite. Rhodochrosite is one of my favorites for self-love, which to me, this is my personal theology. You're not going to attract a healthy relationship, or let me say it this way, it's much harder to attract a healthy relationship until you fully love yourself the way that we've been taught that partners should love us by society. And what else do I have in my bag of tricks here? Ooh, beautiful. Okay, so this one's kind of, I think this one's too hard to see. Yep, it's too hard to see the blue on this. So I am going to use this for my blue stone. So this is blue agate. And light blue stones are affiliated with throat chakra. Other types of stones are turquoise and I already said blue lace agate. What can I think of another? Chalcedony, blue chalcedony is another beautiful stone that harmonizes with your throat chakra. And your throat chakra is at your throat and all about communication. And so also if you communicate and express yourself with your hands, like through writing or art, or if you talk with your hands, the throat chakra balances that, and light blue stones tend to do that. It can be a murky area. For example, with sodalite, you can use this at both chakras. And again, these are, whenever I tell you things, these are not hard and fast rules. There's been some times where when I was crystal healing in the dark, I'd be thinking I was grabbing one stone. And then as I was putting away my stones, I was like, wait, why was the green stone on this person's solar plexus? And then after a while, I could figure out, like, you know, connecting with the crystal, I was like, why did you want to be at the solar plexus versus the heart chakra where you usually are? And then it would tell me why. And a lot of times it was interesting. It's like, well, I was healing this part of this person's solar plexus, so it was important for me to resonate and be here. So not hard and fast rules, just to help you pick out your crystals. So sodalite tends to be more affiliated with the third eye. Other third eye crystals tend to be, and this is where it gets a little murky too is a lot of times third eye and crown chakras tend to be more interchangeable because they're the least affiliated with the physical body, if you will. This is when we start to talk about our spirituality, and our connection to God or universe or a higher purpose, whatever you want to call it. So third eye stones tend to be things like lapis lazuli, sodalite, iolite. Trying to think of amethyst can be used for both third eye and crown chakra, but these stones tend to be about developing your intuition. They can also be about logic, intelligence, reason. A lot of times what I like to use them for is balancing the two, intuition versus logic, understanding the difference between ego versus intuition and what spirit is trying to tell me. So it's being open enough to see when spirit is trying to communicate with me. So that's kind of what third eye, darker blue stones tend to be. Purple stones can also a lot of times be affiliated with your third eye. That said, purple stones, and I'm cheating here because I think this is actually ametrine, but we're going to pretend this is amethyst. Let me see if I can get, yeah, we'll just use this guy. So for amethyst, a lot of times, like I mentioned, amethyst sometimes is used for third eye. Purple and clear stones, so like this guy is amethyst. Let me pull out of my basket of tricks. Ooh, that's rose quartz. There we go. Clear quartz. Clear quartz can be used for any of them, but a lot of the clear, white, purple crystals tend to be used for your crown chakra. And that's when like I've had some clients come to me and they're like, I really feel like I just lost my connection with spirituality, my connection to God. We used to communicate all the time, but even when I'm in prayer, I can't hear him. So the crown is really about your spiritual development, connecting with your higher self, using your higher self to connect with the spiritual beings that you like to engage with, whether that's God, spirit guides, archangels, whatever it is. Purple, clear stones, like moonstone is a great one to help work with your spirituality. So you can use the colors to do it, and then colors by intention. Like I said, if your intentions are general and kind of fit into that recap that I gave you, perfect. And then that's great. If it's really specific, that something very, very specific, and you want it to be really accurate, do some research before you go to a metaphysical shop. Otherwise, that should point you in the right direction. So once you're there, and you can also do this online. I'm going to try to see if I can. Okay, I can kind of see this. Hopefully this looks good to you. If not, I can reshoot it. But basically, what I want you to be able to see and look at here are the different crystals. So you can do this either in a metaphysical shop or by printing out pictures of things that you want to purchase online as well. And what you can do is once you have crystals, like sometimes I've gone shopping, I'm lucky if I only have 4. When I first started out, I would just have so many, and budget wise, I just knew it wasn't practical and in my best interest to buy all the stones I had picked out. So one thing that you can do is say you have all yours picked out, and they can certainly be bigger, but see if you can find an area in the store. A lot of times if your cash register isn't too busy, that's a nice place, or a table that's not too cluttered. Take your crystals and kind of take your hand like this. And what you're doing is you're trying to sense the energy of the crystals. So for me, I've trained myself to be able to feel the different vibrational frequencies of the crystal. When I first started doing this and wasn't super energy sensitive, especially if you can close your eyes into this, what you'll notice is some might not have an energy pull at all. So what you're looking for is kind of like a tingling sensation, maybe heat or cold. Whichever one has the most intense energy is your crystal. So you're kind of looking for something energetically that gives you a pull. Another thing you can do is to use yourself as a pendulum and use your body. So this works best standing, but because I'm recording this video and it's just me, I don't have a cameraman or lady or anyone to help me with this. So what you can do is you can use yourself as a pendulum. So here's the first crystal that I had. And what I do, and you can hold it anywhere, sometimes your third eye. I like to hold it at my heart and say, should I purchase this crystal? And what you're looking for is to see if your body walks forward or backward. And if it doesn't do anything, it might be like, you can, like your guides are telling you, spirit is telling you, like, it really doesn't matter if you buy this crystal or not. So for me, if it's not a yes, I really don't need that in my collection. It's not important for me to have. And then crystal number 2 is this crystal, the crystal I need to work with today. And I'm leaning backwards, so that's a no. Disclaimer, I am purposely doing this because I know I don't need to work with any of these crystals today. They're just for you. Oh, actually, maybe I do need to work with this one. I'm getting a little tug forward. So this is, okay, maybe I do need to work with this. And the last one, this one's a clear no for me, at least today. And so that's one, those are a couple ways you can choose crystals, especially if you're trying to choose from an assortment of them. Sometimes you'll go through the template section. They're usually, well, sometimes they are mixed in like this. A lot of times they're sorted by type, but sometimes it's kind of nice because they have them like little boxes kind of next to each other. So what you can do is kind of use your hand in that energy sensing technique that I showed and just kind of like, take your hand around it and it's like, do I feel a pull anywhere? I'm kind of feeling something here. So, oh, that's funny. This is Rainforest Jasper, really beautiful. And so this is something that I should consider purchasing or buying because that's what my energy was directed to. I could just feel like, I don't know how to explain it, but like a lot of times when I use that technique, I kind of feel it here, or sometimes I feel it in my fingers, depending on like how it's doing, but I can almost like feel like a cord pulling down and trying to like connect me to a crystal. It feels like a tug. Other people get heat. Other people, if you're clairaudient, it means you can hear the voice of spirit talking to you. So sometimes you can even like, do I need this crystal? And then you can hold it here. You might not rock back or forth, but you might hear a yes or a no in your head. And that's how you know if the crystal's for you. Another way to do it, I'll set these up again. I'm going to choose just different colored ones too, so it's pretty to look at. Another way you can do it is to use an actual pendulum. And I might do a video on this later. If I don't, I'm sure there's so many videos on YouTube that you can watch about pendulums, but you can use a pendulum. I like this one. It's a chakra pendulum. I sell these in my shop. I like these because I do a class where I teach you how to find your power chakra. And what you can do is, mine is my third eye, is you can hold on to what your power chakra is to get the best read from a pendulum. So when you're working with a pendulum for the first time, what you do, and this is also how I know if a pendulum's for me or not, I say, show me yes. And I don't know if you can see this, but my pendulum is rocking forward and backward. And you're not looking, sorry, this guy's going crazy. You're not looking for that to move per se. You're looking for the tip here, whether you use a crystal or metal one. I'm going to hold it still. I'm going to try to hold it still. And then I'm going to say, show me now. Great. And this might do different things for you. So this is going from left to right or right to left, however you want to look at it. It might do different things for you. It might spin clockwise and counterclockwise for yes or no. It might go in different ways. But this is just to help me calibrate with the energy of the crystal and the pendulum, so I know how to read it. And then it already knows what I'm going to ask. I haven't said it out loud. Can I work with you today? Woo! Woo, I can't even hold it still. It's like going crazy, yes or no. And I'm also, I don't know if you can see, my elbow is here. So you can see that I'm holding very still and the pendulum still moves. What I've heard from other practitioners is that when you're beginning, um, it might be very nuanced. Like your pendulum might not move a lot. So pay attention to that. One thing I'm like, sometimes I'm working with clients and I'm like, is this thing on? Like they'll have a lot of blocked chakras in a row. So I always like hold it over other crystals and you can see it's going crazy right now. It's like energy is on. So that's how I can tell if there's potentially a problem. Like when you're not getting a clear read, well, if I'm doing a read on chakras, that's totally different. But if it's not super responsive or moving a lot, you can kind of see if it's working, and it can work with you by doing that trick I just showed you, by like putting it over something that's got a lot of energy, like a bunch of crystals, and then it goes wild. So you can see it moving like a lot. Okay, so then we bring, oops, nope, other way, Courtney. How to use Zoom, YouTube, and then you just go one by one and say, should I purchase this crystal? And it's showing me a no. Just gonna put it back in the basket. Should I purchase this crystal? Oh, this is actually saying a yes for this one. I don't know if you can see it. Kind of looking at the video and I'm not sure it's clear, but this is moving up and down, backwards and forwards, which to me is a yes. Should I buy this crystal? I almost always get a no. This is a Unakite Jasper. It's really good for fertility. So I almost always get a no because I don't plan on having children. Okay. Oh, can you even stay still for this? Should I buy this crystal? I don't know if you guys are getting a good read on this one. I'm going to try to move it maybe like this. I'm not getting a great read on it. Getting a little bit. Here we go. Now it's getting a little bit better. I'm getting a left to right, which is a no for me. So the only crystal that I needed to buy today, if I were shopping, would be this guy. So I hope that was helpful. These are definitely things that you can play with. I would say the pendulum is the most advanced. So if you're a beginner and this is really new to you, maybe not try this technique when trying to select the crystals that you want to buy or even work with for that day. But you know, if you're feeling adventurous, try it and see what feels good. These are all different ways. I've purchased crystals all of these different ways and had success with it. I would say the only times where it's not even that I was led astray is that when I wasn't really intentional and I would just go to the crystal store to like look around is when I probably got into some bigger issues of I probably bought some things I didn't really need. And so my recommendation is before you go to a crystal store, even feel like I'm not going to buy anything. Those are the times I buy the most. I don't know about you guys, like probably more responsible than me, but set a budget, stick to it. Universe will provide you with the crystals that you need to work with within your budget. And if it's none for that day, it's none for that day, and that's okay. But stick to your budget and go with intention. So always have an idea of what it is that you're looking for whenever possible. Sometimes it's like, I just feel stuck or I'm blocked or something like that. Still stick within your budget. And sometimes things might pop at you, but just intend, like, know, like, okay, I can't think of an intention because I'm really stuck or blocked. That kind of becomes your intention to get unstuck or unblocked. So I hope that helps. You can also use these tips when you're shopping for other people. So if you have a crystal lover in your life and you're trying to buy a crystal for them, you can use any of these tips and tricks to help you find that. I really hope you enjoyed this video and that it's helped you find your dream crystal. If you have any crystal related comments or questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. All right, you guys have a beautiful day, and I will see you soon.